Okay, let's just talk about balancing your checkbook. Some key things to remember. When you deposit money, you are crediting money into your account, so you add on your check register. When you write a check or buy something with your ATM or debit card, you must debit or subtract on your check register. And for this activity, you need to make sure you fill out each deposit slip, check, and your check register. We're going to use 8.25% when needing to find tax, and we need to round our numbers to the hundredths place when we need to. Okay, in this scenario, you are in college and you are on your own. You now have your own money and checkbook to manage. To earn extra spending money, you work at the campus bookstore. So let's look at the first thing. Your parents sent your monthly check of $400. Check number 1567. Deposit this check into your account. So I'm going to write plus $400 to remember that I'm going to get $400. Okay, I'm going to need to fill out a deposit slip which I will show you later, and I'm going to need to include this in my ledger, which I will also show you later. Okay, let's look at number 2. It says you and your 3 roommates split the rent 4 ways. Rent is $125 per person. Chris Dow pays the rent for everyone, so make your $125 check out to him so that he can pay the rent. Check number 100. So I need to pay the rent, so I'm going to write minus 125 so that I can remember I need to pay the rent. So I'm going to need to go back and I'm going to need to write a check, and then I'm going to need to put that check on my check register to keep track of that, and I'll show you guys that later. Let's look at the next scenario. This Friday you have a date and need a new outfit. You find a shirt for $29.99 and pants for $37.95 at the Gap. Write your check number 101 for the outfit plus the sales tax. The sales tax for Texas is 8.25%. Now remember, we can change our percent into a decimal and multiply. So I need to add the shirt and the pants, so $29.99 plus $37.95. Whoops. Okay, so I need to add those together, and I get a total of about $68. So I'm going to use about $68. Okay, I need to take that $68 and I need to multiply it by 0.0825. When I multiply that, I get 56100. I need to count 1, 2, 3, 4. Count over 1, 2, 3, 4. Put my decimal. So I need to add $68 plus 5.61. When I add that, I get 73.61. So my amount of money that I spent for those clothes is 73.61. So I'm going to put 73.61 because I'm going to need to go back and write a check for that. So I want to remember that. Okay, so now let's talk about writing these items in our checkbook register. The first item is a check from our parents. So I'm going to write 1567. I'm going to use the date 4/4. Check from parents. I would record check from parents. I made a deposit of $400. So I have a balance of $400. Okay, the next item that we had was we wrote a check for the rent. So we wrote check 100 on 4/4 to Chris Dowell. So write his name for the rent, and we wrote him a check for $125. So now we can say 400 minus 125 and put your total there. And the next item we had was our date on Friday. We went out and bought some clothes. So we had check number 101. We wrote it on 4/4 to the Gap. And we wrote our check for $73.61. Okay? Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to write a deposit slip. So on 4/4/13, we got a check from our parents, check number 1567. We got a check for $400, and so we're going to put in a check of $400. So that's our deposit slip. We already recorded this in our ledger. Okay, the next thing we need to do is we need to write a check to our roommate, Chris Dow, to pay for our rent. So I'm going to put my name, P. Starrett. Usually your checks will already be printed out and have all this information on it. We wrote check number 100. The date is 4/4/13. I wrote to Chris Dowell. Okay, so we write this check out to Chris Dowell, paying the rent, $125. So we need to write it out, 125, and that's our decimal point, XX 100s. Our memo is for the rent, and then go ahead and sign it, and that is our check. So if you have any questions about how you write checks or deposit slips or include these in your ledgers, go back and rewatch the video and see what you're missing.